Hi, everyone. My name is Cascade Bishop, and I'm an early childhood specialist. And I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the value of play. I have been in the field for over 15 years, and I now also have two children myself. And it has been an incredible journey, one of lots of highs and lots of lows. And I want to share with you guys something that can be helpful when you don't like to play. Because I too do not like to play. You can ask my sister growing up. It has never really been my thing. And as a teacher and as a camp director and as a parent, I have had to find ways to make sure I'm positively influencing my children's play and still participating without having to feel like I'm doing something I just can't stand. It's a balancing act. And I have three helpful things that'll help get you guys to that point where you can feel good about your play interactions that you're having. So, what are these three helpful things to know? The first one is that quality time is better than quantity of time. As parents, I know I tend to get super stressed out because I don't have enough time to do things. And most children try to get your attention, or they have a need that needs to be met right when you're in the middle of doing something, right? Whether it's cooking dinner, maybe you're getting ready for the next day, or cleaning up, or finishing a work call or something like that, right? That is normally the time when our children's attention is brought to us, and they want us to play and they want us to interact, and it can feel super frustrating and super overwhelming. So it's really important to remember that quality of time is better than the quantity of time. And we're going to dive into all three of these a little bit more in detail, but I just want to give you guys a quick little heads up of what's to come. So the second one is that you can invite children to play in your world. Children love being in our world, and it's how they make sense of their world too. So when we provide opportunities for children to come into our world and play in our world, it allows us to continue doing what we're doing, and the children can mirror what we're doing too and take those skills with them into their own play. And then the third one is that your role in independent play can keep them playing. So often, we'll send them off to go do something, or they'll come back saying they're bored or they don't have the creativity behind what to do next. And we need to provide them the tools to be successful. We need to meet our child where they're at, and we need to then set them up for success so that they can have independent play. We know they are going to come back and talk to us. This is how children operate. But when we set them up for success, and then we know what they're coming to us for, we're able to quickly tend to their needs and then send them back on their next adventure for independent play too. So before we really dive into the three of these, I want to go ahead and explore what play is and what our role is in it as well. So we talked about earlier that play is how children learn and how they get to know the world around them. Play looks different for every child. You can have children who really like independent play, children who really thrive in group play. You have kids who love to exercise their large motor skills and they'll be climbing all over different things. You have some kids who are very imaginative, and you'll see that feed into all different areas. Some children are sensory based, and that's more them. So you really need to get to know your child. And that's one of the things I love to do when I work with parents is we really need to get to know the child to find out what their interests are. Because when we know the child and we know their interests, we can really cater to their needs in a creative way that's going to hook them, that they're going to be excited about. Because, I mean, how often have you gone to do something and you're super excited about it and the child shows no interest and you just go, you kind of like flop, right? Because it was cool to us, but it's not cool to them. And that's okay. We all have different interests. So getting to know your child will allow you to cater play invitations and different things for them as well. Children use play to work through big emotions. Play is a great way for them to, you can hear the language that they've heard around them being utilized within their play. Maybe they're teaching their dolls how to share. Maybe they're feeling super frustrated and they just want to build something and knock it down. Maybe they're inspired and they want to create. So play is an outlet for all of these big emotions too that children are feeling. Now, we talked a little bit about giving the power to the kids, right, with respect to what they're doing. When we cater to their interests, when it's truly child led, it'll hold their interests so much longer. So that's something we really want to pay attention to as we're getting to know our child, as we're setting them up for successful play, and really, setting up ourselves for a role that we feel good about as well. Now, play is important for healthy brain development. We sometimes parents get worried that maybe their kid plays too much because they, don't want to stop. And that's okay. Sounds like they need a little help with transitions, but play is the way they explore. It is how they're figuring things out. And it is super important to have. Now, I want you guys to close your eyes for a minute and think about something from your childhood that you just absolutely love to do, something you got so excited about, something, it could have been a game, it could have been a sport, maybe it was an event, maybe it was, something that, what was an action, something you were doing that you loved. And I just want you to think about that for a minute, right? And think about those feelings. Now, I want you to think about how excited you're feeling and that you want to share it with somebody. Okay. Now you are running up to maybe it's your mom or your dad or another teacher, and you're super pumped. And you're like, hey, 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 guess what? Guess what? Look, I'm here. I want to show you this super cool thing I just figured out. And they're brushing you off. They're brushing you off. And they're saying, not right now, not right now. I'm busy. I'm busy. And you're sitting here in this peak of energy. And you could tend to spiral down. Maybe it doesn't happen too often. And you're like, whatever, okay, you're busy. I'm going to go enjoy this moment, right? But if every day you have this excited moment and you come and you want to share it with a parent or a caregiver and they're not able to be present with you, it kind of bums you out. And then eventually you're not going to want to share anymore either. So it's important for us to know what our role is with respect to children's play. So think of that feeling of that moment that you just enjoyed as a kid. For me, it was going into the forest. My friend had a tree house, and we would go inside and we would create what we called synonym. And it was, we brushed pollen off of pollen pods from the pine trees and just filled a jar of it. And it was like our currency. Like I can vividly remember it. It's, so exciting to me. But it was a time where I was free. I was out in nature. I didn't have many restrictions as to what I was doing. I had creative freedom. And I was with my friends and we were working on communication and we developed a game and it was a lot of fun. And the parents didn't play in that game. I do remember having to go back and asking for tools. I remember, we're out in the elements, so they had to make sure we were dressed properly and they played a really important role. So let's talk about what that role is. So this is a really cool visual. It's called the circle of security. And I think it's a really great way for us to understand our role with children's play. So, to begin, our role is to support our children's exploration. It's to be a safe place when they need it, to observe their play and their interactions, to use play to help guide their learning, to be aware of our story, and to be able to change the language when we need it. And we'll dive into that in a little bit. And then to be aware of what part of the circle our child is on and what they are looking for us from us to meet their needs. So with this circle of security, as the parent or as the caregiver, you're the secure base, right? You are that foundation. You are that home plate that kids are coming back to. Our goal is to send them off at the top of the circle. Trying to see visually, so where they're going on the top of the circle to go explore. We want them to feel comfortable to leave and go test out their theories, ask their questions, explore, do what they need to do. And then at the other end of the circle, when they hit that roadblock, when they have that big emotion, when they're not sure what to do, they want to be able to come back to you. And we need to be able to be there with open arms, ready for them to come back, to help them get the tools, get the wording, get the support they need to go back and explore again. We want our children to come back to us. We don't want to be detached from what they're doing. We want them to involve us. We don't need to be guiding their play. We don't need to be doing hand over hand learning, but we need to be part of the process for them. So what does that look like? So when your child goes out and plays and you're doing great, you're like, okay, like, have fun. I know you're safe. And then they're coming back and they're crying. Now, what is your face doing? Are you frustrated because you're trying to get the dishes done? Are you on a call so you don't have the time right now? So what do? Do you maybe put your hand up? Do you give a look like, or maybe you say, hey, hold on 1 second on your phone call, and you go down their level and you can say, I see you're feeling sad. Like, what's going on? Or how can I help you? And what would you like to tell me? And when you get down on their level and you give them a moment to share what it is they're feeling, what they just went through, then you can give them the next tool they need to go back on their adventure. Because if they're coming to you, they just want a quick check-in, they want a quick sense of validation, or they want a quick, I'm hurt, but I think I need to make sure I'm okay. I mean, how many times does a kiss make it all better? And that's a 3-second interaction sometimes, and then they bounce back to where they're going, or maybe they did a really cool thing and they want to make sure it's really cool and they want to check in with you too, and you can sit there. It's like, wow, I can see you're super proud of that. I'm proud too, and when you connect on that level, it allows them to go back again. And then, they're off exploring. And then when they hit the next roadblock, they come to you. But these moments are quick turnarounds, even if it feels like a big emotional break, if it appears as a small tantrum, if it appears as, some kids are silent. They don't want to communicate. So it can manifest differently in children. But when you know that when they hit that point again, then you can give them the tools they need and they can go back. They're not staying in this spot forever. They don't need you to hold their hand through everything, because you're encouraging them to explore, but you're also their safe place when you come back. Now, going back to being aware of your story and changing the language, changing your story when you need to. Sometimes, so you think about not liking to play. I don't like imaginary play. Imaginary play is extremely hard for me to get into. And when I do, I really don't like being told what to do. So, cue in every 3, 4, 5-year-old who does imaginary play. They want to give you a role and they want to tell you what you're doing. And I can't stand it. It literally makes my skin cringe, right? So if this is my take on imaginary play, if a child invites me to play imaginary play, I can't show up like that, because that's putting my story onto them. That's taking away my role of being that secure base and now being someone who's on their own adventure, right? And I'm just not showing up right for them. So what does it look like to actually show up right for them in that moment, or show up at least better for them? There is no real right or wrong. I feel like, we can always just reflect on what we've done. And if we choose to do something differently, we do differently, right? So, but with that, I can say in my own head, I know I don't like imaginary play, but my daughter is extremely excited right now. And I can find a role in this that I enjoy, so I communicate to her, say, puppies are a big thing right now, and she wants to go for a walk. And I'll say, oh, puppy, I'm so excited to play with you. I don't really want to go for a walk right now, but I will play fetch. Do you want to go get a ball? Now I have prevented myself from having to put a leash on, walk her around the house, and I can kind of stay where I am right now because that's really what I want to do. And I don't want to do it, but she is super into it, loves it, is getting as much out of it as she can. So I had to shift it. I had to shift my thoughts, what was happening, what I liked about it, and how did I make it work for me? So I was able to show up. So that's what I mean by changing your language and changing your story. Is what do you think about this situation? And is that affecting your child in any way? Because it really needs to be about them and their energy and this, and then finding your balance in it. Okay. So with that, let's dive into these 3 helpful blah, blah, blah. 3 helpful tips for when you don't really want to play, but we still want to support our children. So quality time is better than quantity of time. We talked a little bit earlier about how, as parents, we don't have we don't have a lot of time. We are trying to fit a million things into once, maybe you're flying solo, maybe you're both working, maybe you're at home all day, and that's extremely hard too. There's a lot of different experiences, but overall, a lot of people tend to get overwhelmed because we don't feel we have enough time. So what do? We make empty promises to kids. This is something I have a hard time with, like, oh, like, let's do this today because I feel like I want to create that special moment for them, but then I get caught up in everything else. Then it happens, and children want to play and we say not right now. So here's some things to help you have that quality time. So when you have it, you need to be present. And what does that look like? Putting your cell phone down. This is huge. It is so hard for me because my kids bring it back to me. But if it's next to me, it's just a habit to pick it up and look at it. And excuse me, it's hard not to do. So trying not to do that is something that's really important. Getting down on their level when you are down on the ground, or maybe you bring them up to you in the couch or on the chair, if that's where you are. And just being on that same level with them really helps them see that you're there in that moment with them. Asking open-ended questions, letting them tell you the story of what's going on. You don't have to do much work. You're letting them explain. Can you tell me about what you just did? How does that make you feel? And let your child take the lead. They are wanting to share a moment with you. And so acknowledging that it's their moment to share, and let them know, say, hey, hey, baby, you wanted a special moment. Like, tell me what you got going on right now. I'm really excited to listen, and to see what's happening. If time is a hard thing for you, I want you to set a specific time for the play so you're not distracted. Now, this is something I am extremely guilty of. I'll be ready in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes, in 1 minute, in 10 minutes. Like, my children, the second they know how to tell time, they're going to call me out on all this because they're like, you don't know how to tell time. Like, and it's true. And it's because I just get distracted doing things, and we all know how that happens. So I encourage you to either say, ideally, the first option would be, say you're doing dishes, your child comes up and would really like to come play with you, or to come snuggle with you, or to have some kind of interaction with you specifically. And you can say something like, I would love to do that with you. I do have these dishes to finish, but how about I put that on pause and we spend 10 minutes together right now, and then I'll come back to it. So you look at your watch and you say, okay, I'm going to do this. It is now 11:45. We can do this until 11:55. Let's set the timer and let's go. I'm going to set my phone here. Timer is on, and I'm going to go with you. So that gives you 10 minutes of just quality, solid time. And then when the timer goes off, you can tell them how much you enjoyed that time and how you're going to go finish what you're doing. But when you're done with the things you need to do, you'll check back in again and thank them for that time. It is a special moment. Another thing you can do is, if I'm just using dishes as an example. If you really need to finish the task that you're doing, you can let them know, hey, baby, I have to really finish this task right now, but I would love to play with you after. How about we say at 12 o'clock, we will sit down together, and I'll set an alarm for 12. So when that goes off, you can come and get me. Okay. And that gives you the time to finish what you need to finish. And then that gives the child the knowing that, okay, when this alarm goes off, I'm going to get that quality time that I'm looking for. Another thing is, you really want to use this time to spend time doing things they love, and also things you love too. So think back to that memory we reflected on in the beginning. And what is something that you loved? What is a game that you love doing? My only game I like playing is Battleship. And I can't wait for my kids to play it because my family won't play with me anymore. So, share those excited moments with your kids, and then also let them share them with you, and know that it's bringing them joy, and know that, spending 10 solid minutes doing something is going to be special. And again, I'm mainly focusing on younger children right now, but as children get older too, they have more of a voice. They can communicate their needs a little bit better. They can share the things that they like. They can, say like, hey, I want to have a family game night, once a week. And you can put that into the schedule. So you know that there's time to do the things that your family loves, even if you don't like them. I have already told myself that if my family decides they want to have a family game night, I will participate. Sometimes it's very hard, but I have to remind myself how excited it makes other people feel. And that if I do that, then when I want to do something earlier in the week too, it's like, hey, remember, like, this is family game night. This is really exciting. It's something you guys really love to do. And I love to do it because you do. So this is something mommy really loves to do. And I'd like you to try to do it with me too. So it gives you a little bit of negotiation points as well. Okay. Second helpful hint. You can invite the children to play in your world. Children love to do what we're doing, right? They incorporate what we're doing into our day-to-day lives. You'll see it manifest in their imaginary play. You see their language take shape just the way you speak. The little mannerisms you didn't realize you did, they do. So if it's possible, let's take the dishes again, invite the child over, give them a bucket of water and a couple of their toys to wash. That can be their job. Their job while you're doing dishes to wash their toys. You can put it in a sensory tub, you can put it in a bucket. Maybe they use one side of the sink with you, right? And you can let them know too, mommy's cleaning these ones, but these are yours to clean. So if you would like to spend time with mommy right now, this is how you can do it. Or you are more than welcome to go play with your toys too, whatever you would like to do. So it gives them a choice. You've set a healthy boundary that says this is the space. For example, you can see my daughter on here. She likes to work. So I have my headphones and she has her headphones and the notebook and the paper, and she communicates. She's like, I'm working right now. You need to be quiet. Please, no peeking. And I don't remember exactly what she said the other day. So when I'm working, I can give her her own space and her own tools that look like mine. So she feels like she's doing what I'm doing. And I just explained to her that if you would like to come in here and work with mommy, this is what it looks like. And this is the space you may be in. If you don't want to do this anymore, you can then go back and play something else by yourself. And I will come check on you when I'm done. So always letting them know that there is an endpoint, whether it's what time you're off of work, or if there's a timer or something like that. And that there's an option to do something different. But bringing them into your world is a really great way to kind of incorporate play, because this is play for them. Work is play, play is work. They love having jobs. If you can give your child a job, and again, I focus on the younger kids once they get a little older, depending on, their thoughts on it as they were growing up, it may be a little bit different. But younger children love to have jobs. They love to be given a task or something important to do. So like, for example, we were outside and I was raking up the yard. And so my daughter's job was to water the plants. And that gave her something to do where I was able to focus on what I needed to focus on a little bit more too. So this is a great strategy to use if you have just something in your house or something you need to get done and the children can be next to you. It's a great way to involve them, but stay focused on what you're doing. Okay, and then the third part, see if I move my camera a little bit, is your role in independent play can keep them playing. This, I think, is the part where people get most frustrated because they just want their children to play by themselves and they don't want to be interrupted. So if you remember our circle of security, right, we need to be that home base for our kids. We want to send them out to explore, and then they know they can come back to their secure base if they need it for their quick fix or whatever validation or security that they need. And then they go back out, right? So our first thing is to remember that we do need to be in communication. It's non-negotiable. It is our job as a parent. And that is just what it is. So how do we keep those interactions short and positive in times where our focus needs to be a little bit elsewhere? So the first thing you want to do is make sure your play area is safe, or your play area is safe. If your area is a space the children are normally in, the outlets, the furniture is secured, children will be children. They will always find new ways to climb or hurt themselves or, get crazy, but it's okay. It's set up the best you can, right? We know these things about children, so we expect that at some point it's going to happen. So we're not frustrated when it does. We know it's going to. We know kids are going to be kids, but we've set them up for the success the best we can in their environment. Another thing is to set up provocations or invitations to play. Now, this could be taking out, sometimes toys are in like a box or they're in a basket or there's multiple types together. And children don't always take the initiative to go look to find something. So when something's presented to them in a different way, it can strike their interest. So, for example, my daughter really likes magnets right now. So, one area, I just put up a couple cookie sheets because magnetic and her magnet numbers and her magnet blocks. And so that was kind of like an area to explore. My son is super into cars right now. And so I set up a little area on the table with like cars, some ramps, some blocks, just to explore. So if you have a couple different areas like that, when your children aren't sure what to do, you can suggest it. It's like, oh, did you see those cars on the table over there? I wonder if you can make a road for them. Or, I saw those magnets on the carpet over there in the living room. Do you want to go see if you can create something with them? So it gives you points to send them if they come to you needing something or needing some direction. Because remember, kids can't take the direction fully by themselves. This is a skill they are developing, and we need to nurture their development. Okay, so now when the children come back to you, our language is so important. Our language is important regardless of what area, and we could do an entire talk on just language itself. But we want to make sure, remember, think of that moment we talked about earlier when you're super excited and then you went to go tell and share this moment with an adult and you just got like steamrolled down. They just like plowed over you. There was no excitement, there was no nothing, and it was just super bumming out. And you're just like, oh, I'm bummed. So we don't want that feeling. So how do we nurture the other? Using your face, showing excitement, curiosity, mirroring the emotions they have, showing empathy. If they come up feeling they're crying, come down to their level and look down. And it's like, I can see you feel so sad. What happened? Can you tell me what happened? Or you look super excited right now. Can you share with me what you just did? Or you look a little confused. Can I help you with something? And when you meet them at their level, and when you are validating how they feel, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel mad. It's okay to feel frustrated. Maybe, your younger sibling took the toy. Like, that's frustrating, and your initial response will be to yell to get it back, but you're not setting yourself up to be able to send them off by themselves and come back when they need something, right? Or they're not going to be able to go very far because they don't have the tools really they need, and they'll just keep circling back with these short periods of time, which isn't what you're looking for either, right? So is there an option where maybe you need to bring out a different toy and set up a new area so that they can draw their attentions in different spaces? Is it one toy that needs to be monitored when you're using it, and it's not a good idea to have it out right now? So you can explain to them, I can see that you both really love this toy. Since mommy or daddy right now is busy doing this, how about or not how about, you just say, I'm going to set this toy aside right now. And when I'm ready to come play, I can bring it back and we can all play together. So they know they'll play with it again. They know it's being taken out. And because if your eyes cannot 100% be right there in that moment with them, playing with them, it's not a good toy to have out. So you want to make sure you're setting out toys that are good to have out in those moments so that, it's one less thing for them to kind of cycle back for. It lets them explore a little bit longer. And then it's really important to remember that if you need to be elsewhere, you need to pass off to another adult who can be there for those interactive moments. So when children don't have someone to come back to for those moments, it changes the pattern for them. It rewires their brains a little bit. It, makes them, maybe their security is not there if they're hurt, or if they need help, maybe they feel like they can't come ask for help. But when you show up in a positive way, when you're excited, when you're validating how they feel, they will keep doing that and they'll feel safer and more confident to go out and play and then to come back. So I'm going to stop sharing. So that is just a little bit about the value of play. We know how important play is. We know it's how children learn. We know it helps their brain develop. We know it's how they work through things. And we know we don't always like to play as adults, right? So if we keep these things in mind, it'll help us have these positive interactions because it is non-negotiable. We need to have these interactions with our children. Play is part of their life. They are part of our life. Therefore, play is part of our life too. So when we have quality time together, it leaves really impactful moments for the children to have, and they can build off of those. And when we're having quality moments together, we're honest with our time. Our children know what to expect, and then they can get more out of the time that we're putting into it too. And then we get to share something they love and something we love too. We can also invite them into our world. We can invite them to work with us, which is a form of play for them. Set our boundaries and let them know they're welcome to do this with us. And then they can go play on their own if they need to. And then with respect to independent play, if we set them up for success, if we make sure the toys and the environment they have at their fingertips is safe and appropriate, then they're able to explore a little more freely. If when they come back to us, we are providing them with validating language and we're curious and we're excited for them and we're in tune and on their level, then they feel safe to go back and explore again. And when we're having those interactions, we're able to have long, positive interactions. We're able to have longer periods between when they are independent playing and when they come back for something that they need as well. So I hope these things help you a little bit. If you have any other questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I love working with people and getting to know their children and getting to know ways to help parents find that balance between doing the things that you love to do and the things you need to do, and merging that with our children's needs and what they love to do, and making sure that it all works together, right? So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out.